amaphutha sometimes angikwazi ukuzicontrol kodwa manje kumele ngihambe isikhathi shayile kumele ngihambe amandla phelile manje kuhambe ngiphe ubaba idondolozele ngiphe ubaba idondolozele isikhathi shayile kumele ngihambe amandla phelile manje kuhambe ngiphe ubaba idondolozele ngiphe ubaba idondolozele. Minyaka ngihleli nawe angizange ngikuphoxe asikho sizathu sokuthi ungenze kanjena manje sekuyisikhathi sokuthi ngihambe manje sekuyisikhathi sokuthi ngihambe isikhathi shayile kumele ngihambe amandla phelile manje kuhambe ngibe ubaba idondolozele ngibe ubaba idondolozele elungiphe ndlela enhle nenhliziyo emhlophe wena waziya kuthi ngenzeni yini engayenzanga manje sekuyisikhathi sokuthi ngihambe manje sekuyisikhathi sokuthi ngihambe.
Diverse Global Studios, Africa #1.
Ay, bathi khuluma nabo mfana batshetse kama kanjani ulungani kwalalo aka fana ka chocolate get Leo. Welcome to the Global Sunday. Bathi khuluma naye ay. You know what, I miss KZN somehow. You know, I went on Instagram yesterday as I was busy working 24/7 as always, and I saw this guy from KZN who was who fell in love with the lady on Instagram, and he started, doing videos and posting videos and communicating with this lady. It was really funny, but I think it was lovely the way that they were communicating. They reminded me back in the days in KZN where you had respect for each other. You were going deeper than just saying, hey, you have nice toes or you have nice hair, and then all of a sudden you're dating, you're going for dinner, and then it's done. I mean, they were responding via videos, and the lady was saying, are you sure I'm the right one for you? Do you even know my family? Can you go and report that to my family? It was so amazing. It was so Mavundla, shout out to you, Mavundla. That was really amazing. Anyways, welcome to the Global Sunday. I know we are late. We are really sorry. There's load shedding in South Africa. Miss Classic is not going to be joining us, but we have all the way from Australia, Mr. David Pike, all the way from US Arizona. We have Mr. Ladin in the building. Boo, 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 boo. Welcome to the Global Sunday Show. Actually, my week felt like it was 2 days. I always complain that 24 hours is not enough in a day. I wish we could somehow, who is in charge of the world? So we can just negotiate that we make it 32 hours at least. Because if you're going to sleep 6 hours in a day and you still have to shower, you still have to eat, and you still have to spend time with your family, and also you've got work to do, you need to chase your dreams and follow your dreams, but you only have 24 hours, it's just not enough. So my week, it just felt like 2 days. So yeah, I'm sorry, that's how it is, but I got some work done. Mm.
venues these people can get around to. So, yeah. The only other thing that happened, I did a couple of spot shows in a lovely place called Port Douglas. And I had to play some Broadway tunes. And I said, did anyone know Bunny Berrigan, the famous trumpet player? And of course, I opened the show and I said, does
I'm
anyone have a
sorry.
Bunny Berrigan
I'm
record?
sorry, Mr. Pike. We had a little bit of an issue with the audio, so now it's fine. We can hear you clearly. If you can just do the touch ups on what you said. So sorry about that. We're good now. We're good. We're good. Thumbs up.
Okay, well, I'll start from the beginning. Good evening. No, good morning from. And I've just been talking about three sections out of the Encyclopedia Britannica, so I'll hand it back to Ken. He might be able to recap what I said.
Well, from what I gathered is, and yes, it is a very, very big deal. It's not, people protesting against the vaccine. It's not just in Australia. It is in France. It is in actually even in Japan a little bit, certainly in Germany, and then the good old USA. But, they're now calling it a pandemic of the unvaccinated because 90% of the people that are getting sick and dying are the ones who aren't vaccinated. But we will cover that during the news. Glad to hear that you got to Port Douglas. I think, weren't you and I there or near there? Is that near Whit Sunday?
It's about 1,100 kilometers north, so it's a little bit more tropical.
Oh, no. Then I wasn't near there. No.
President Clinton used to visit there a lot.
Right. Well, anyway, it sounds like you had a good week and you got to play some Broadway tunes. It's always good to do Broadway tunes. And Langani, I have to tell you, all you young people out there, before computers, we used to get like 10 times as much done. We had money in the bank. every night we had plenty of time to sit and have dinner with our families and then talk after dinner and then do the after dinner before bed things that couples do,
Mm.
and then we also had time for vacations, and then computers came, and now we're all running around, as they say in the United States, like a one-legged man in an ass-kicking competition. It is, you just cannot ever stop. At any rate, and my week, I've got my associate artistic director here. We've just announced the artistic director of our academy in Africa. It's been a wonderful time. In spite of COVID,
Mm.
things are coming together. And I think, you're also going to hear with our guest today, things are coming together. He was active just yesterday and last night, finishing up a new recording and putting it out and getting a tremendous response from the public. And speaking of entertainment, why don't we then, I'll turn it over to you, Lungani, for the entertainment news this week. And we'll see you on the
Absolutely.
other side.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back. This is the entertainment news with your boy Lungani Gwala. Yeah, I'm just going to talk about two things and maybe add one more just because we're late. So I'm just going to cover the album from Zulu Pavarotti. If you remember last week, I did announce that Zulu Pavarotti has just released a new album, which is called My Way. So you can get the album, you can contact him, or you can go to our social media accounts. There's definitely details there. Please, let's support each other. Zulu Pavarotti. He's a good singer. He's a good singer. He once performed for us here on Global Sunday, and we once hosted him here on the Global Sunday. So that's really amazing. Shout out to you, Zulu Pavarotti. And then also, we have news going on there in South Africa. Mr. Rama Water has been nominated as an artistic director of the Margaret Fontaine in South Africa. But we're going to be covering that in a few weeks to come. But mostly, Rainer, famous international ballet star, is visiting Prescott, and he's got some projects going on there. But yeah, let's hear from Rainer. What exactly is the purpose of his visit?
Yeah, finally I came. It took some while, but I had this gap of time, and yeah, finally I came. It took some while, but I had this gap of time, and I had many things I had to be, taking care coming here. There are several reasons why I'm here, and First of all, we have a big project going on next summer. Hopefully the pandemic will be past by then, but theoretically next summer, with a company with dancers from Japan coming here to perform, to do a concours and so on and so on. So I had to come here, look at the several theaters, look at the several camps, look at the several hotels, and so on and so on. So that's like the studios and so on. Then of course I'm here also, well, I'm here, to meet Ken and to be with Ken and to really talk in person, and we spend many hours. That's why I'm also staying at Ken's and not in a hotel, so we can like really have the time to speak about the opening of the Margot Fonteyn Ballet Academy, and seeing finally all the different options, the different buildings, visiting different options and different buildings together, talking about what's the next step, talking about many things, and so also getting as much as possible to learn from him about the academy, about the method. So that's the other thing. And then of course also me being here as a principal dancer from Miami City Ballet, teaching the local students at the local studios, to get to know them, that they get to know me, that they get to know also Ken, that they know that we are here. So that's why I'm also like giving master classes and teaching privates and semi-privates and so on to the local students here, to the local ballet students. So beside that, of course, I have actually in a week I'm dancing a solo in Berlin, because I have to fly back to Europe, and so I have to also do that, and so always very multitasking. Yeah, I love Prescott. I must say, I'm first time here, first time in Arizona. It actually reminds me a lot to the Provence in south of France. And I love it. I really think that the nature here is just incredible. I like the rockets. I like the rocks. Sorry. I like the I don't know. I like it sunny. Then it's a little bit rainy and stuff. So I don't know how it usually is. I can say this time I have nothing to compare. It's not incredibly hot, so that's also very comfortable for being end of July. The people I like, city center I saw by now, where the Elk Theater is. So, the park there, we went to a restaurant. So I don't know, I like the vibe a lot. The only thing I don't like is there is no connection to any cell phone like thing. Like I can't get any reception to talk. I can't get reception to get messages. I don't have internet. I can't get my way around with my navigation. I always have to. Last time I was like driving around for 20 minutes trying to find a Starbucks to get Wi-Fi to put back the address to go back. So that's just a little bit weird, because I understand we are like more, people stay like in the desert, but it's not. I mean, it's still a city. It's like, I don't know how people do it. It's just incredible. So that's something I hope that all the carriers from the cell phones listen and watch that, do something about it. Because that's really like, I don't know, not US like, that I don't have reception. Beside that, I really enjoy my stay. I get to know the directors of the students, of the schools, the mothers. So I think that's all going to be very important for the future. The days are long, but it's also intense, just like all the conversations. And like I say, the thing with Japan, to prepare everything, it's a lot of things going on in my head, so it's kind of hard also sometimes to switch off. But yeah, so I'm very happy to be in Prescott for the first time. Thank you guys, and thank you for watching Global Sunday.
Yes, there was Uvrina. And there's just one more thing that I want to mention. It is Miss Classic's show, Miss Classic's event, and it was premiering today. If you miss it, you missed it. You can still watch it next week at I think it's 8 p.m. or 8:30. It's 5 p.m. for South Africa, and it's 8 a.m. for US MT time. Yeah, something like that. But if you want more information, you can go to our Facebook page. Everything is just there. Yeah, shout out to you, Miss Classic. The show was really awesome, and shout out to all the artists that participated at the show. Yeah, so now I'm gonna go back to my team and find out exactly what's going on today. And remember, Guti, we are talking to one of the best in Africa, not only in South Africa, in Africa, Scelo Gowane. But yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. I know you don't believe me, but we'll get there. Um, Mr. Pike, welcome back, guys. Welcome back.
Yeah, Mr. Ngani.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to this upcoming talk with Sella. Is that? I hope I'm saying it right. Please help me.
Stelo.
Stella, with a T. Yeah.
Stelo. But you can
Uh,
say Mr. Gowane. If you can be able to say Mr. Gowane,
Gowane.
you can say Mr.
I need
Gowane.
lessons.
Don't end up saying Mr.
Yeah.
Gwala.
Yeah, so we'll start some questions in a minute, but we need to know, we need to be introduced to you. So this is going to be great. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yes, everybody, are you ready for Mr. Gowane in the building in 3, 2, 1? Welcome.
Hey, I'm starting to be tongue tied. I mean, backstage I was all, but now everything just seemed to be tough. Anyways, this is Scelo Gowane. My name is Scelo Gowane. I'm from KwaZulu Natal, South Africa, in the city of Durban, in the township of Newland West, close to KwaMashu. I'm sure the international community know KwaMashu. So I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter. I am also a producer, and I play a little bit of guitar. Yeah, so I'm very much happy to be part of this show, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm very grateful for you guys to have me. It's quite an honor to be to be viewed by millions of people, in the rest of the country, in the rest of the world. So yeah, I'm here. What's up? What's going on?
Good question.
We're very, very glad to have you here, Mr. Gowane. Scelo, I think
Wow.
I
Yes.
Ah, you got it now.
Wow.
He's got it now.
Okay, I don't know if I can do that again. And
Okay, there was a what is it? Lucky shot, eh?
no, I really, I am in South Africa often, and I really, really have to learn Zulu.
It's cool, it's cool, bro.
I was
cool.
standing up on a sort of a ledge and talking to about 600 students at one point, and I was trying. They told me Sabwane, but they also told me the plural, and I was trying to think of it. And the woman next to me is like, Sabone. And I was like, and then I did say it with the plural right, but now I don't remember what the plural is anymore. That was, I have what they call an Etch-a-Sketch brain. That's a toy for children that you draw and then you shake it and it goes blank. So if I shake my head fast, no thoughts.
Oh.
I'm At any rate, I know, for artists, every artist expresses their truth the best through their medium, through the songs, through the music, through the dance, through the choreography. But, you're among friends here. So just, we're just going to have a fun ride today. And so from there, I guess, David, you already welcomed our guest. I think if I'm looking at our
I'm sure Mr. Pike wants to say something.
yes, Mr. Pike. Okay, Mr. Pike. Didn't mean to step on your lines there, sir.
No, I'm riveting to get into the questions, but I don't want to rush these things. You know, we just got to chill a little bit. And what's happening? You did mention about a song, Scelo, when we started before
Yes,
the film feed. Tell us about last night. I know you already told us, but it was very interesting your reaction to the song you've just released.
All right. This is what happened. I had a chat with one of our most popular and one of our most well-respected, I would say, company manager. He's the best, man. I mean, like he runs a show. There's a section on Metro FM where they play tracks, they play songs, new songs from artists in South Africa that are still budding, that are doing really great, and what happened is that, look, man, I need your song there. And so the issue was that at the very same moment I was recording a guitar section of that song, so I hadn't finished it. So now I had to, like, I had to stay up the whole night so that I can be able to, to send it to him. And I had to work, throughout the day so that I can be able to send it to him, pretty much sounding, in a very good way. So it was hectic. It was a lot of work. So I did send him the track, and he did play the song. And I received a lot of people saying that they love the song. It's pretty much going to be the next song that I'm going to drop before this one, because there is a song that is actually buzzing on the radio stations right now. It's called Ingoma Yetu, and people can just go there and download it on iTunes. It's available on on Google Play Music. They can also download it there. So in all other digital platforms. So basically, so that was the excitement. So we had to really be so fast so that we can be able to send it to him so that they can play it on radio without even doing a cross examination of the song and playing it back to other mediums. We just sent it through. So, but it came out really nice. So there was excitement last night actually.
And thanks for that. What is it about? Basically, is it a romance song or is it politics song?
No, basically the song is called Isfonyo. It's a Zulu word, Isfonyo, talking about a mask, a face mask.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a situation where you have, when you have maybe done something wrong and brought another girl over to come and chill with you, and then suddenly the mask gets the mask remain, it remains in the building. So when your partner comes and then he finds this mask and he's like, no, this is not my, whose mask is this? So basically that's what the song is talking about. I was actually trying to use some humor around this mask thing, because in South Africa at the moment, everybody is actually mandated to do masks, to have mask on. So as a creative being, I was like, okay, can't I do something special about this mask that will stay, even in the years to come, and where people even have forgotten about the issues of South Africa having to deal with mask issues. So it was all about that stuff. Yeah. So basically, that's what the song talks about.
That's very clever. I feel sorry sometimes for the bank robbers.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
No.
Yeah.
Ken.
I think it's time for the news. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Ladin.
That's right. We're up for the news.
Absolutely. What do you have for us on the news today? Briefly, before you go straight to it. I know.
Okay. Well, today, really, the world is very, very much in turmoil. As we've already mentioned earlier on the show today, we've got the protests happening in Sydney, and it's rather extraordinary that there are this kind of protest in Australia. Very, very unusual. Also, there is terrible, terrible flooding now in China. First, it was in Germany and Austria. Entire towns being just swept away in mudslides, and now it is China. There was a horrible, horrible videotape on somebody's phone of they were stuck in a subway car and the water is rising, and all 12 of the people in that car eventually did die. That's not on, obviously not on the thing. There's a surge of violence in the Sudan, and all of that against the backdrop of this bizarre Olympics. You know, Brisbane has just been chosen for the 2032 Olympics. These are planned ahead. It is so important for a city to have something like that happen. The economic aspect of it is that even with all of the spectators buying T-shirts and all of the things, staying in hotels, going to Airbnbs and paying for tickets, they still lose often more than $1 billion, but it puts the city on the map globally. Well, we're going to have a special report on the cost of the Olympics and the fact that none of that economic reimbursement is going to come back to Tokyo this year. So let's take a look at this. We'll see you on the other side.
Protesters clashed with police during anti-lockdown demonstrations in Sydney, Australia on Saturday. Thousands of people, mostly maskless, gathered in defiance of public health orders amidst a growing COVID-19 outbreak. The protest turned violent fairly quickly as demonstrators threw potted plants, paint and water bottles at police officers and media, while others physically assaulted police horses. New South Wales Police Minister David Elliott announced the formation of a strike force to identify and charge those involved.
What we saw today were 3,500 very selfish bullheads, people that thought that the law didn't apply to them. There is no doubt in my mind that at least one individual there today had COVID. It is statistically impossible for us not to consider that.
New South Wales, Australia's most populous state and home to the country's most populous city, Sydney, has been 4 weeks into a lockdown to contain an outbreak of the virulent Delta variant of the coronavirus.
We want freedom!
At least 57 people were arrested at Sydney's protest, with many more expected to come, whilst in the neighbouring state Victoria, local media reported at least half a dozen were arrested in Melbourne.
Stay with that story. It comes after 12 people were killed in a submerged subway in flood-affected central China. More than 30 people are known to have been killed in Henan province since the provincial capital Zhengzhou and other cities became overwhelmed by those storm floodwaters. Rescue efforts are still carried out. Heavy rain is continuing for a 6th day. Just looking at these pictures, you can see roads and buildings remain waterlogged. Still many cars, dozens of cars, hundreds of cars piled on top of each other. Nearly 400,000 people have already evacuated their homes. Well, our China correspondent Robin Brandt sent this update from Zhengzhou in Henan province, one of the most populous provinces in China with 94 million people. Robin is one of the very few Western journalists there.
This looks like, on the face of it, a good day for the people here in Zhengzhou. The rain appears to have stopped, certainly in the city centre anyway, but we've come down to this junction to give you an idea of what's happening now. This is what you see in most of the parts we've been driving around for the past hour. Massive puddles of leftover water, silt on the floor, families strolling around, cars stranded in the middle of roads. And it's the car transport people who are doing the most business this morning, picking up those cars and getting them to the garages. We do know that the death toll has increased. We know that the rain as well is spreading north, which is in that direction. So you've got towns and villages over there who are now dealing with very severe amounts of water. The most troubling questions, though, remain about this. The metro network here in this city. It's less than 10 years old, but it was on one of these lines where we saw the most terrifying stories. 12 people crammed into one carriage lost their lives 24 hours ago. And we don't know exactly why. We don't know why they were left so vulnerable. But we do know at the very top of national government in Beijing, they are warning other cities, other local governments to immediately look at their preparedness and to look at their regulations when it comes to metro networks if the floods and the rains come again.
The sound of a hard-earned peace agreement falling apart. And the aftermath in Darfur's supposed new era of calm. Hamissa's home is now a pile of rubble.
They burnt all the houses. When he tried to flee into the street, they shot my brother. He fell down. When he tried to stand up, they shot him again. They killed him in front of me. I covered his body with a cloth and stayed with him.
Locals thought the worst years of violence were over, but Darfur's bloody legacy continues. In 2019, Omar al-Bashir was ousted from power. A year later, the government signed a peace agreement, assuming responsibility for security in Darfur. International peacekeepers withdrew, but nobody replaced them. Now, the violence has returned. Many blame the Rapid Support Forces for the attacks, paramilitaries tasked by the government to protect civilians. But they have not yet commented on these claims. Every attack heightens food insecurity here.
Our operations are disrupted or delayed. The last one disrupted it by 2 weeks. This means that we cannot actually distribute aid to the 1.2 million people who are most in need within West Darfur.
Al Janina, the capital of West Darfur, is now a tent city.
Everyone living here has been displaced twice, fleeing conflict not for the first time, but for the second. The difference is now they're living in cramped conditions on school grounds like this, wherever they can to feel safe. Some, however, are starting to return to settlements they fled from.
Getting ready for the world's biggest sporting event is a massive task for host cities. There's a lot to plan, build and organise. It all comes with a hefty price tag. But is hosting the Olympics and Paralympics really worth it all? The games are certainly expensive. Just bidding to be a host can cost vast amounts of money. Tokyo spent as much as $150 million on its failed 2016 bid, and then half that much again on its successful pitch. Tokyo's final budget stands at more than $15 billion. It's reportedly set to be the most costly summer games ever, though past events didn't come cheap either. According to one study, the average sport-related cost of hosting the Olympic Games between 2007 and 2016 was $12 billion. And over the past decades, host cities have always ended up spending more than planned, much more. In Greece, the cost of the 2004 Olympics in Athens has been blamed for contributing to the country's later economic crisis, and the 1976 Games left Montreal laden with debt which took decades to pay off. But of course, the Olympics make a lot of money too. There are substantial revenues from TV deals and sponsorships for the International Olympic Committee, almost $6 billion from recent summer and winter games, funding sports and future games. The host cities themselves hope to see economic gains from things like job creation, from tourism and investments in infrastructure and sports facilities. Redevelopment for the Barcelona Games in 1992 has often been credited with helping to turn the city into one of Europe's most popular destinations. But during the 2012 London Olympics and Paralympics, there were actually fewer international visitors to the UK overall compared to the year before. But while tourists come and go, many of the buildings and sporting facilities are here to stay. In London, the Olympic Stadium in Stratford is now West Ham United's football ground. Rio de Janeiro's Olympic Park hosts events like music festivals and esports tournaments. But parts of it have been criticised for being poorly maintained, and Olympic sporting venues elsewhere have fallen into disrepair. In Athens, some Olympic facilities were unused and overgrown just 10 years after the Games. This can take a heavy toll on the environment, and critics point out the construction of new Olympic sites every few years is not environmentally sustainable. Back in Japan, the Tokyo 2020 Games have also had to deal with the burden of a global pandemic, which has added billions in additional costs. Revenues are likely taking a hit because stadiums won't be full and international spectators are unable to attend. Even without the effects of a pandemic, after all the spending, economists are generally sceptical about whether hosting the Olympics improves a city's economic prospects. And so fewer cities have been putting themselves forward as future hosts, and some are now calling for the Games to have a permanent home. But let's be clear, not everything can be measured neatly in numbers. There's the pride of hosting the world's largest sporting event and the prestige that brings for a city. The Olympics and Paralympics, after all, are about more than just money.
These are tumultuous times, but we will get through them. And one of the ways that we're going to get through them is because of the presence of art in our world. It carries us. It shows us. It shines that light into the darkness of the future. It gets us there. It shows us how to be inspired, how to stick with something, and all of that. So I would like to turn back now to our special guest, but I think before that, we're going to be looking at Azama and David video called Joy. And then after that, we're going to get back to the people leading us forward, the artists, and particularly Mr. Gowane. Watch this video.
You are watching Global Sundays.
The next song we're going to do is Baleno David Malayo, it's Joy. Sithemba ukuthi uzoyijabulela.
Pretty satisfied. I'd not given up on love to come my way. I was content, remained in my zone. Then you came along, I was pretty blown away. Pretty much effortless. The way you love me, you're a dream come true. Joy came and filled my heart. More than words can say. Joy reigned and lifted. Joy unspeakable. Oh, joy, you're came along, turned my world upside down. Yes, you did. I was content, remained in my zone. Then you came along, I was pretty blown away. Pretty much effortless, the way you love me. You're a dream come true. Joy came and filled my more than words can say. Joy reigned and lifted. Joy unspeakable.
Yeah, Mr. Pike.
Well, we're back to the studio panel, and Mr. Gowane is with us. I've got a question to throw at you right now. We can kick this off. A few weeks ago, we interviewed a gentleman from a township, Kwamashu, and you were born in, I think it's Nzuma. Excuse this pronunciation,
Yes,
Nzuma.
yeah.
Well, I'm not too bad these days. Which is close. Now, what kind of area is it, and what is this area known for?
Okay, Ntuzuma is a place where one of the activists, one of the activists of IFP, he's called the IFP party, political party. He was one of the mobilizers that made sure that we didn't have crime in Ntuzuma back in the days. His surname was Shabalala. So he was very tough guy. And Ntuzuma is also known for it's you know, the first developments when we started the you know, the municipal houses and stuff, the RDPs. Ntuzuma is known for giving rise to a lot of artists actually, and also academics. I will mention a few. It's just that my mind is playing with me right now. But Ntuzuma is a place that is close to Kwamashu K section and J section, and also it's in the middle between Newland West, the new Newland West. It was named Newland West, but it's between Nanda, Ntuzuma, and Kwamashu, and then you go central to the city center, which is Durban Central. So it's actually known for the river. You can see a full view of Umgeni. If you've heard of Umgeni Road in KZN and Durban, so you can actually see, I mean, like, it's a walking distance for me to go and see the river itself. So yeah, those are the landmarks, and it's actually close to Claremont, the famous Claremont, beyond the river. So it's a beautiful place, artistic, diplomatic, and also it's filled with South African culture and heritage, you know, so it's a beautiful place. So yeah.
It sounds like you're very lucky to have grown up in a place like that. You know, it reminds me a lot of some of the places in the United States that have these grand rivers. And there's something about that there are activists, they're thinkers, they're, you know, there's something about watching a river flow that puts you in a different state, you know?
Absolutely. When you're drinking from the river, you know, you get all the oxygen and it goes to your brain. So your thinking capacity, you know what happens.
Well, David is from a similar town in Australia, in Mackay, and it has one of the only, it's a special kind of river. It's absolutely pure blue. It doesn't have any kind of pollution in it. And also, when we were performing there, people would go and walk down by the river and spend time at the river. It's like a Siddhartha moment.
It's beautiful. I mean, Umgeni is one of the, I think it's not the longest, but from Durban, you know, when you measure Durban and also the outskirts of Durban, it's one of the most prominent rivers. So you see it everywhere you go when you're going from Pinetown to Maritzburg, when you're going towards, you know, Verulam and all those places. So it's prominent. It's always there. It depends on which direction do you take. So it's beautiful to be around those kinds of places because you have the river by the river by side.
Um, uh, yeah, I was born in Tuzuma also, in a place called Lindelane. Um,
Yes.
I remember when we were young, we used to, do some movie scenes. We just play around for like 3 hours. Each person would have like four characters each. I'll be the bad guy. Sometimes I'll beat myself because maybe there's two of us playing the whole movie or three of us playing the whole movie. So yeah, I would like to agree on that. That Tuzuma is one of the places where there is talent. There's talent, and it's really unfortunate that it's not very recognized. So some of the talent, it ends there. It doesn't go any far, and that's why I have so much respect for people who are like Scelo Gowane, coming from there and be able to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna get stuck here because of the atmosphere. I'm gonna reach out and push myself and go out there. But I have a question, Mr. Scelo Gowane, because I know you
Yes,
you
sir.
you are a man of many talents, and mostly you are self-taught. You are a composer, self-taught composer,
Yes,
a
yes.
guitarist, and I want to know, when did it all begin? And at what age did you start doing all these things?
It started when I was in uh okay, this is what happened. When I was in primary doing my uh like your standard threes and your standard twos and your
Mm,
up to five.
mm,
I was a very shy person by nature. I wasn't able to express myself, vocally, anyhow.
mm,
So I loved my space. I used to sit in the corner, do my studies and all that stuff. So, but there was this thing that I always loved. Whenever I would get home after school, I would immediately go to the radio and listen to the radio.
mm,
And then when I can have access to my father's cassettes, because back 2000, from 2000 up to 2005, we only had cassettes. CDs, I mean, we're coming, but at that time we had cassettes. So my father had Sipo Kumed, his favorite. My father had there's this country gentleman, Kenny Rogers. Yeah. Yeah, he had Kenny Rogers, and I would listen, to the music there. It was so inspiring. And sometimes I would when I learned how to record using a tape recorder, not a tape recorder, but using the hi-fi and the CD. I ended up messing up my father's CD, my father's cassettes, and it would come to beat me up. I used to do this privately. And then time went on, I went to high school, started growing up, and then I started writing people's songs. Like whenever I had a song on radio, I would tape it on an empty cassette, and then I would write the lyrics. And then when I passed that, I said to myself, no man, I there's something miss. Why can't you, like, something just came. It was like, why can't you write your own stuff? Why can't you write your own music? That was 2003, you know, and I started writing my own songs, and I started learning how to play guitar because I've already had back then a passion for guitar. Every time when I would see someone carrying a guitar, I would like follow that person, because I wanted to see how it looks like from up close. And it was very much, I was very inquisitive about it. So then I started writing my own songs up until my matric 2005, and then I then, hooked up with neighboring guys who like to do music as well. And then that's where I started, really recording on tape, like record on tape, recording on, there was this thing that we used to do you would play an instrument on the other side and you would have a blank on the other side. That was our first studio. So when the instrument plays here and then the blank is here, so the beat is going to be recorded underneath the vocal that you're going to be putting directly. So you had to firstly rehearse with the beat that was playing on the other side, rehearse for the whole day, and then move to the recording session. So we did that as well. So, and then eventually we started, so it started a long time ago. I mean, I'm telling you a tale now, but I mean, it started a very long time ago. So we're counting 15 years now doing this thing. And I've been pushing and making sure that I give people the best that I can be able to in this lifetime.
It's that striving for the best is always there. Guitar is also a very unique instrument. It is melodic, it is harmonic, it is also percussive, and it is a companion. You know what I mean? You embrace it.
Carry it around everywhere you go. Yeah.
And get a bunch of little boys following you.
Yeah.
But guitar also has many, many, many voices. You can do so much with guitar. When you were learning, who did you look up to? Was there a particular artist besides Kenny Rogers, of course, for guitar specifically? And then who did you look up to also when you were learning how to compose?
When I was learning a guitar, I used to listen to. There was this song that used to. There was this guitar section that used to play on Spanish guitar. I think that was Tony Braxton.
Tony Braxton, yeah. We just spoke about
Tony Braxton, yeah.
Yeah. Tony Braxton, Spanish guitar, yeah.
Yeah. That was Tony Braxton. That guitar section killed me. And I was like, whatever this is, I want to learn how to do it because it sounds so nice. There's that thing. I can't be able to explain how the guitar made me feel, but it made me feel like I was more interested in trying to imitate it vocally than play it, but I had to find it so that I can be able to do both. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like, it sounds so nice. The dribbles that happen there when you go with your fingering and all the, the picking, it makes you, it makes you go somewhere in a sense for me. So I kind of like the guitar. The Spanish guitar was the one, and I could also pick up from Kenny Rogers because it was more country there. Especially the Love to Town, the song where Kenny Rogers was singing about don't take your love to town. Where he talks about himself being a crippled man sitting on a wheelchair, and then his wife starts to cheat. And he's like, if you go to town, I will put a bullet on you. But I can't do that because I'm on a wheelchair. So it was like, it was a very sad song. But the guitars there, I don't know what kind of guitar that they used to play, in the Wild West, where you have a vertical, what is it? Horizontal. What is it? Is it a vertical or horizontal? Which one is it?
You're talking about the steel band.
The one that's like this.
Yeah. It's a steel. What is it called, David? But that you put on your finger, and it's not a fret, because what it does is it metallicizes the sound and makes it very twangy.
Yes, that one. That sound, it killed me when I was growing up. I was so in love with that kind of a sound, and I think that's how I love the guitar. That's how my love for guitar started, because I was like, what kind of sound is this? I need this. I need to know this. Yeah. Well, so yeah, I mean, so that was the experience with me, and starting off with the music, and it has led me to be involved in different kinds of productions, and it has led me to work with different kinds of people.
Mm, mm. Mr. Pike, I know Mr. Laden wanna say something regarding the
Oh,
Spanish,
go for it.
but
You
Mr.
want-
Pike, maybe go first.
Okay, couple of comments. Yeah, I had a very brief introduction to guitar at the primary school, and I gave it away, which is a shame, because now now in my
Why did
later
you
years,
do that, man?
no, I've had an epiphany. I've tried to get a little bit back into it, because I played trumpet for many years, and trumpet winds you up. It increases your heart rate. It makes your head go purple. It's very hard to tell with the trumpet. You have to take a lot of illegal substances to sort of do that, and then you lose your lips, so you can't win. But the guitar, if you play the guitar, not for the stadium people, but just in your bedroom or night, your neighbours don't complain as much, and also it's very soothing, and especially the Spanish guitar, because I have an acoustic one here in the house, and it's just for me, it's great for meditation. You play arpeggios and chords and things and progressions through it. Because I gave the guitar away, I don't have the dexterity in the wiring in my brain that to become a top level player out of it. That's my excuse, but I had to choose that or trumpet. I think they opened Albert Einstein's brain after he died. He used to play the violin, and I think the neurosurgeons found the little hook in the brain, which they said that's what violinists develop when they play. So there's parts of our brain, neuroplasticity. So you've probably got, the good thing about guitar, you use 10 fingers sometimes, and sometimes your nose, but it's great. And I think if you're doing music and songwriting, because you're playing guitar, you have an appreciation of the harmony, and chords and rhythm as well.
Absolutely.
I do admire singers that I come across and songwriters who they say, well, I work with a producer. And sometimes what that means is that they don't have a lot of the musical knowledge, but they've got the good ideas for the lyrics or some sort of good ideas for singing. But it's really wonderful when you come across a singer that, even if they don't play as a professional lead guitarist or something, but they're playing guitar or piano or something, that one of the first things is they have an appreciation of the musicians that they're working with. They also have an appreciation of tuning, because as much as you can learn tuning and you might have natural talent, if you play an instrument, it's really enhanced, I believe. And then for your songwriting, obviously, you could be sitting there on your couch and you could just be have nothing in your head lyric wise, but you might be just playing with the chords, and it's all coming together for you. So I think I don't espouse to be anything of a guitar. I play in a little art shop on occasion, and I think it's quite music, and I get away with it. But I think it's for what you're doing and gets you involved. And then, of course, you can, on your tracks, obviously, you're putting a bit of guitar into your tracks, aren't you?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So win-win all the way around. And I applaud you that you do singing, but you have an idea of the production side of the music, the making the music on an instrument as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
I do know Mr. Laden wants to comment on this one. Mr. Laden.
Well, okay. One of my sons is a very, very prominent guitar player, and when he got an electric guitar when he was 8 years old. His name is Eric, and we called him Earache. But what happened was, when Eric got to be 15, I think it was, he had like 5 or 6 garage bands going, and he decided that he wanted to quit all the bands, and he had us hire a classical guitar teacher And he didn't go back to playing rock and roll music until he had mastered all of the Bach violin concerti on classical guitar. This made him an incredible player. His name is Eric McFadden. And also all of the greats, when they were on tour, would come by the house to sit down with him. Eric Clapton and all kinds of people like that, because he could outplay everybody. And that was from that classical mastery. And then when he went back, when he was in his late teens, that's when things really took off. So guitar is a fundamental instrument. I watched this child become this international artist just because of this, I don't know, like an ambition to master the guitar. He had to master it. He couldn't let anything escape. And so I really love people who do the guitar. It's just such a special instrument. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
And I know that Tony Braxton was one of
our students when she was little. Yeah. And she left us to go into the production of Hairspray. And I think it was off Broadway at that point. But she was something else too. I didn't have any idea. We were listening to a song the other day. I said, "Who's that?" And he said, "Tony Braxton." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Because in my mind, she's a dancer, and she did sing and she did act, and she's a triple threat. But wow, and then here that name comes up again today. It's a very small world.
I don't know her in person. I'm just an admirer of the person who put everything together. If I'm not mistaken, the production was done by Babyface, right?
I think so, but I'm not sure.
Yes, yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of my idols, man. Like Babyface is one of the people that I think inspired me to when I got to really understand the productions, and when I got to study some people that have done production and how they did it, and when I came across Babyface, I was like, wow, this guy is so humble, but he managed to conquer the early 90s up until now. I mean, and the 80s as well. I mean, like,
another artist like that is Linda Ronstadt. Linda Ronstadt, I mean, she just conquered every kind of music. The musical field holds so many of these absolute geniuses. And welcome to that group. It's amazing what you're doing with your music.
I wish to live up to it, man. I hope that with all the organizations that are going on, the foundations that are starting up in terms of trying to grow the musical intellect in the townships, I hope they come too soon before I'm old, so that I can be able to get myself some school. You get what I'm saying? Because
be careful. There's nothing wrong with being old.
Hey, tell for another day.
Old age is what happens when you're lucky and smart.
Yeah.
Mr. Pike, what?
Okay, we have another question. No, we have news, don't we? We have news, I believe, with Mr. Ludden.
Okay, well, on our second news segment today, we're going to look at COVID, as we usually do. All of the news of COVID has drastically changed in the last 3 weeks, and that is because of a thing called the Delta variant. But listen very carefully to this news broadcast, because there is another variant just starting that they're calling the Lambda variant. Really listen to this newscast, and on the other side of it, I will have a bit to say about it. See you on the other side.
In childhood, Francois-Xavier Bagneau loved rescuing people. In adulthood, he rescued people as a helicopter pilot in the Alps. In 1986, he died in a tragic accident. His mother, Albina Dubras-Rouvray, wanted to continue her son's passion. She did so in two ways. The first was to support those things that Francois cared most about: the alpine valleys in which he flew his missions, space, air flight, his university. These are supported by the FXB Foundation. The second was to create an NGO, FXB International, which would help rescue the poorest people on the planet, those suffering from the most extreme poverty, such as children orphaned as a result of AIDS. This is achieved through the FXB Village Programme, a pioneering approach to eradicating poverty. This programme was radical. It went against the fashion of the time. It was not just one solution, but several, working as one. FXB invested in the basic needs of human life: health, housing, education, and nutrition. It then added the fifth element: business. A business that, within 3 years, makes it possible for each FXB village to pay for itself and become self-sufficient, so breaking the cycle of poverty. To raise funds for these two strands of activity, Albina sold 3/4 of what she owned. She put everything into the foundation and the NGO, including the FXB Village programme. That was 25 years ago. The work continues, it inspires, and it works.
So then I said to him, you ought to customize your car insurance with Liberty Mutual, so you only pay for what you need.
Protesters clashed with police during anti-lockdown demonstrations in Sydney, Australia on Saturday. Thousands of people, mostly maskless, gathered in defiance.
We're having a bit of technical difficulty with our actual video feed for this segment. Let me walk you through it. The Delta variant is 200 times more virulent than all of the previous variants. It also is attacking people who are younger. Just 2 days ago, there was a 5-year-old boy who his parents had all been vaccinated. He got the Delta variant, and unfortunately, after just 3 days, died of the disease. The Delta variant is also making a pandemic among those who haven't been vaccinated. Now, I know when we talk about the global situation, that's a lot of people. In the United States, 53% have been vaccinated. However, the Delta variant is very different. It attacks quicker, it spreads more easily, it makes you much sicker, and it is attacking younger people. Right now, with the Delta variant, nations all over the world, Indonesia is suffering terribly. Countries that have had very low infection rates in the past are suddenly having them come up to just terrorizing levels. Fukuoka, Japan, for example, in the first 3 variants, okay, alpha, beta, and gamma of the COVID-19, they didn't have any cases, maybe 5 or 10 in a year and a half. And then all of a sudden with the Delta variant, now it's a hotspot. Tokyo, South Korea, areas in Europe, all over the world. But what's happening at the same time is in South America, in Peru, there is starting to be what is now the Lambda variant. And it is even more contagious from early signs than the Delta, but it is so small and there's so much attention that is having to be paid to saving lives around the world from the Delta that it is just now beginning to be studied. The Lambda variant is stronger and more potent for certain. There's so little known about it. And so long as people are not vaccinated, and this is our message in the news today, the virus will continue to mutate and become stronger and stronger. It used to be, for example, that there was almost no occurrence of bed bugs in the world because of DDT. They got rid of DDT, and now bed bugs are all over the place. Every single nation, every single hotel, every restaurant, even some of the top clothing stores. The similar thing is with tuberculosis. Tuberculosis was wiped out from the earth, but then now suddenly there are strains of tuberculosis that are resistant to all forms of antibiotic. And this goes on to every single disease. MRSA is a kind of an infection that is found in sterile environments in hospitals. In other words, that mutated to the point that it broke through even pure Clorox and things that protect you. And so as long as people are not vaccinated, as long as they are catching these mutated versions of COVID-19, more mutations can come. Okay? It's not about your personal freedom. It is not about government overreach. It is not about conspiracies against the human race. It is not about what elements might be in a vaccine that some people, very few people, will have a bad reaction to. It is about life and death. Not just your life, but the lives of each person in the entire world. That's why it's called a pandemic. And that means everyone you love, everyone you care about. In fact, it's about everyone that every person loves and cares about in the entire world.
No country has buried more
So I say, and I am reflecting my personal views here, not necessarily the views of Global Television, Diverse TV, or any of our sponsors. I say to the self-centered egotists worldwide, get the vaccine and save us all. Back to you, Ngani.
You are watching Global Sundays.
Yes, umuntu uma efuna ukuhamba. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. That was Scelo Gowane athi uma esefuna ukuhamba okanye uma esehamba.
Yeah, that's the one.
Welcome back, Mr. Gowane. Kazi kwakwenze njani? Why? Why? What happened? There must be something. There must be a story behind this song.
Uma Isehamba is a song that I wrote around about 2017. It was more of a scenario. I wasn't really in that kind of a situation where, I was, I was witnessing something going on with my partner there. I just had a feeling at that time because when I wanted a song on radio with the company that I was with, I wanted something different. Everybody was singing about love and everybody was singing about this sweet that. And I was like, ish, there's too much of sweet going on there. Let me just be negative or be on the other side of the whole issue. How about I speak about, a partner that is actually showing signs of living. So Umay Sahamba came there that, have you noticed that when someone wants to leave you, they start acting funny and doing all these things, and then they bring you, during supper, they give you, did you see that clip where she gave me like a sausage and bread? You don't give that to an African man during supper. You need a full plate of either rice and meat. You can't, that's lunch. So I mean, basically it was all about that. So I envisioned myself in a situation that sort. I wrote the song and it became a sensation. And unfortunately, the song played on only few radio stations that I can, that I could be able to reach. So it was one of the biggest songs that I had done in my life. And unfortunately, due to management and all that stuff, it couldn't reach where it wanted to reach. That is the only sad story about the song. So we did the video at that time, and we had it put there, and unfortunately the video guy had lost the master file, and he only had the half sections of the whole thing, and that's why you had to connect both the beginning and half, and then the rest of the half, so but the song is basically about that. So it's about when you're experiencing a situation whereby someone that you closely into, intimately, relationally, going south, based on the fact that maybe, some people go crazy, man. Like some people get, they get AWOL on you, when it comes to relationships, and you never hear from them again.
Mm, 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 mm. Wow. Yeah. It's if we can talk about a
It's
relationship.
complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. If we can talk about a relationship, we need 12 more days or 6 more years to finish
True, man. True.
this
That,
episode
yeah,
of the show.
that's how it is.
Yeah, but yeah, I
Like
like,
Johnny here.
yeah, I like the video, and I had so many comments from people, in which, I don't want to upset any gender, but yeah, there were so many comments were saying this is true, and some of them they were like, there's always different perspective, but yeah, but I think maybe Mr. Pike, can you take the next question for me? I just talked a lot, and I took everybody's time, but anyways, please take the next question for me.
Okay. Our research into you, Mr. Gowane, shows that you studied at the Kwamashu Advanced Project. It's called KCAP. And part of the mission is to discover, and part of the mission of KCAP is to discover and expose artists. How was your experience studying with them?
It was okay. So this is what happened. I finished 2005 my metric, and then after that I just changed everything for myself. I woke up a new person after school, and I was like, no, man, I need to study something that has got to do with arts, because all this time I've been shelled, I've been conserved, but there's something within myself that says that there's something more that you can do other than be academic. Yeah, not that I'm looking down on people that are academic in their profession or whatsoever. So I then learned about a place called Guamashu Advancement Center. It was close by, B section Guamashu. And I was like, no, I have to go here. So when I got there, 2006, I started doing drama, acting. And then after that, I started doing visual art, because I kind of liked how drawing was one of the things that kept me relaxed, because I was more of a conserved person. So I would take my canvas, and I would just draw anything that I can be able to put perspective into. So, and yeah, so I learned visual art as well. 2008, I got involved with the learnership. They've got a learnership. They had a learnership program there. It was talking about subjects like script writing, script writing, directing, and also music and dance and life coaching, basically. So the gentleman who was heading that, and I still believe that he still does, was Edmund Mhlongo. Such a great guy with a lot of information, a psychologist by profession, and an academic who was involved within the arts, and the, you know, this thing of saying that as people from the township of Kwamashu, Ntuzuma, the Ink area, you know, Inanda, Ntuzuma, and Kwamashu, we should tackle the industry of the arts with an academic approach, at least on a basic level, so that we can be able to face the whole of the world with the talents that we have. Because he told us that talent on its own is not enough unless you add some academic into it, and then the know-how and the knowledge that can be able to help you understand what exactly you're doing and how you're doing it and what is it exactly that you're doing, so that you can be able to pass it on to other people as well. I mean, so it was such a great experience. I got to be involved in one of the biggest plays that he did. It was called Albert Lutuli. It staged in at Umhlanga, no, Sibaya Casino, actually. So Sibaya Casino is just, I think, 15 minutes drive from Umhlanga Rocks. So we staged the play there. So then after that, I ventured myself into molding myself as an artist, as Scelo Gowane, a producer, a writer, as well. So yeah, it was a very, very much great experience being there and being part of many other artists that we see now on the South African screens, on the South African television, music videos, and the music industry. It was a jam pack of the creme de la creme of the Ink area.
Thank you.
You know, it's very interesting. Dame Margot Fontaine, the great ballerina, who I was very blessed in my life to work closely with, she developed an educational program that for her was what all of the artists in the 21st century and after needed. And it was based on drama, visual arts, dance, music, all being studied under the same roof. And then the people that specialized in each one, knowing each other and being in classes together in other art forms, but then also having scholastic arts, and then learning all about technology in all of those settings, because an artist must, you aren't ever just singing a song. Even if you're standing at a karaoke bar, you're part of a picture. You have to understand what it looks like. You have to understand what color you're wearing or things like that.
What kinds of angles and all that sort,
Absolutely. And so the Margot Fontaine Academy teaches all of those things, and it sounds like it's very closely related, like a cousin or a sibling, as an educational program to what you went through, and look at the results in your life. I think that this is a tremendous thing, and I'm so glad to hear about that. And what's funny is that she sent me a book once that was a book from a psychologist that was called Play Therapy. And in that book, she had underlined all these passages, and she said, this is how all of our faculty and staff and administration must approach the student. And the student, the young artist, is somebody that you don't know anything about them. You have to let them tell you who they are. You have to let them, bring the elements together that is their own truth and follow that, rather than, as you say, getting them shoved into some pocket of potential employment in the future. So it's just fascinating to hear your answer to that question. I'm delighted to hear it.
Thank you.
Lungane.
Oh, okay, you passing it over to me. I think that's really amazing. And the good part about this whole thing is that you started as a self-taught, and which obviously makes you this unlimited you know person with unlimited ideas. I understand where you come from when you say you are not trying to crush people that went to school, that has studied, but because I come from the same background, I do understand that sometimes if you are only relying, there's a saying that says a child that is only taught at school is an uneducated child. You have to be taught at home. You have to learn from other people, from friends, from experiences. You do not only use the theory that you learned at school in your entire life. And just to be quite honest, there's only a few things that we learn, that we apply in the real life. It's only a few things. If you're not creative, you can go and learn as much as you want, but if there is no creativity in you, it's not gonna work. It's just gonna be this machine who's told how to do things. Purple is the
Yeah,
right
I
color,
mean,
yellow is the right color, a circle is a beautiful shape, and this is how you walk, this is how you get dressed up if you're going to a meeting, this is how you do not dress. It's just a community of people who are being told what to do like robots. So I'm not trying to crush people who are educated, who are teaching, and all. It works, but you have to put your own efforts by using your own experiences, your own ideas, and fuse it with whatever that you have learned. So it makes a huge sense. That's a very powerful point on my end, Mr. Gowan.
And if I may interject here, David Pike, as we've developed our program and expanded it, David is the director of composition for the Academy, and his method of composition doesn't come from academia. David, I think that this is very relevant to your own past and what you have done in your life as well.
I can resonate with what Mr. Gowane said, but this style of thinking, even historically, in the not too distant past, was Rimsky-Korsakov, who had a very famous student, and the story goes like this: that the student went to the was with him to learn about composition. We all know the great master Rimsky-Korsakov was, and the student, unknown to Rimsky, then decided about 8 months into it to go and enroll into the Moscow Academy of Music. And then he came back, and then they had a discussion, and it went along these lines. And it's I'm not saying this as we're all apologising for academia, but he did make this point. He said, "You want to be a good composer, go to the School of Moscow. But if you want to be an outstanding and great composer, then please don't attend any more lectures there." And I had to think about that a fair bit, but I think in the creative arts that you can't come from nowhere. If you're going to Segovia, I believe, on the guitar, we were talking about guitar, was fairly much a self-taught man as well. And Eric Clapton's and all sorts of people. So what school can do is give you a foundation where you might want to put some solid things down, but you certainly have to, in the art world, you either follow in the art world, which is fine. You can be a great practitioner of past compositions. I mean, as you play orchestral music and explain it, but at the highest levels, you have to bring something new to art, and you have to be at the cutting edge of art. And I hear people in the jazz terminology, they reflect on people like the great late Louis Armstrong, and they say, "Oh, well, his trumpet technique was, surpassed by the 30s and 40s and all sorts of things." I said, just hold yourself right there. I said, go back to New York in 1929 in Harlem, and watch him play a rendition of West End blues. It was like nothing else on the planet. in his virtuosity. And I think the reason we think about Louis Armstrong's and the people that brought something new to a genre is because they brought something new. He wasn't following. He amalgamated all of the experiences of New Orleans and Chicago, and then came to New York, and then he put tracks and recordings down in nightclub moments that were just unsurpassable. And I think, like the discussion you're going to have on personal relationships, which turns it into a Donahue forum that goes on and on, and I've started something. But in a nutshell, you have to follow your own pathway. It's a bit like I can't be Ellen Garney. I can't get out or Rhino. We'll get out on stage and do a decent pirouette. I'd fall over, break every leg bone I had. I'm a David Pike, and I do what I do, and I can't be Gowane, and I can't be a Ken Ludden. I have to be I have to be myself. If people resonate with what I do, and I hear from you that your songs are resonating, so you're in the right place at the right time to do the stuff that you need. You're the artist for the moment of your generation and your era, and that's really, really important. I meet so many artists that have they're always retrospective. They're always looking back. They're always playing, and I have no problem. I did a show myself. It was because I was asked it. It was Nostalgia Broadway show, and it's fine to try and redo stuff that's been done, but it's terribly, terribly important to be at the vanguard of your generation. So I applaud you for that.
Yeah. No, I'll go to a next question that I have for you, Mr. Gowane, quickly. Thank you for that, Mr. Pike. I really, I can relate to that too. So now, Mr. Gowane, we see you as this, amazing musician, amazing guitarist, composer. We've watched your videos, absolutely amazing. And now it gets to a point where, I'm asking myself, how did you make this decision? How did you decide that this is what I want to do and nothing else? This is what I'm gonna get, stuck with. I'm not choosing something else. I'm not letting this go. Music is my life, and I'm not gonna, try and be David Pike and go take photos under the ocean or do skydiving or, this is what I want to do. How did you make that decision? If you can, take me through.
It's about taking the biggest gamble of your life. That's going to shake everything about you as a person. To trust that feeling. I don't want to say gut feeling, but that voice. In the movies we always hear about that. Listen to the voice. But that is absolutely true, gentlemen. When you listen to that voice that says, this is it. It's not going to be easy, obviously. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be very challenging, like everything else is challenging. However, I think at that time when when I did my matric, I said to myself, okay, I love what I think is going to best describe me even when I'm gone. Do you get what I'm saying? Like something that's gonna best describe you even when you're gone. Not a mixed masala of he tried this and tried that, but this didn't. No, something that's just like it's all about following that thing that's gonna best describe you even after you're dead. And that thing is not far off from your wavelength of thinking. It's always there. It's just that sometimes, especially growing up in the township of Ntuzuma, close to Guamashu and the vibe, the whole ink area. You grow up with your parents, trying to get ends to meet, and the situation is not really good, and you cannot be able to afford this and that. But with all these dynamics that are going on, there must be something. There was something for me at that time that said, okay, now I have to do me, irrespective of all those dynamics and challenges that were presented to my life, growing up and being exposed to the kind of family that I grew up in my mother, my father, and all my siblings, because coming from a family where you are a firstborn, there are so many challenges that you must set a good example, go study, go and get a decent job. Yeah, well, so all these things, but you gotta trust the voice. Everybody's got a voice within them. No matter where they are, no matter what kind of situation they're in, they've got that voice. And I think for us creatives, we decided to just, go with that tide and never let go, because it's fun. Uh, it's heartbreaking sometimes. It's emotional, and sometimes it gets very sad because some things have not happened that you wished for, and some people, uh, may cause some funny things to happen within your career, and mess up a plan maybe that may have set for yourself, and some people may even not even believe what you present to them. They will just totally discard it away, and you have to pull through every time. You have to be 100%, because you are being driven by a fire that you set yourself into. So I believe that it's all about that. I mean, like, I chose to be a singer, a songwriter, and also a producer, not because I thought that at first I was gonna come this far. Being part of a panel of one of the most well-renowned artists, psychologists, and beautiful musicians. I didn't think that I'd be, being on the screens, of this caliber and nature. But it was more simpler. It was like, I want to make something meaningful for myself. I want to make something meaningful for myself, so I want people to remember me holistically, not that I tried this and that and failed. And and I'm very happy with the decision that I've taken, because it has taken me through meeting a lot of people, people that people dream about meeting. And I've worked with people that people have never ever even came close to, and I've done work that has been heard by millions of people. And it's been a very it's been a very happy experience in my life to live this kind of music life. And I don't want to look back. I don't have any regrets. I'm still pushing forward, and with these kinds of platforms that I'm getting, it shows the amount of impact that I'm bringing into the world. And so yeah, the only thing that I can say to up and coming artists, I just want to link those two, questions with this answer. I just want to link that question to this kind of an expression that I'm going to make right now, is that some people are afraid to do the things that have been spoken about badly just because the community or the society doesn't believe in them. So believe.
Yeah, Mr. Ladin.
Well, you know, Martha Graham, the famous modern dance pioneer in America, was once asked, what kind of dancer do you look for? Is it somebody with beautiful feet or a very high jump or ability to balance? And she said, no, I don't look for any of those. I can teach them all of that stuff. She said, what I look for is a dancer who, if they're not dancing, they'll die. And I think that's what you're saying.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
But the thing that dies, and this is what is so unfortunate, if there are any parents out there that are worried about how much money your kids are going to earn or what kind of reputation they'll have or anything like that, the worst death that anybody can ever suffer is when the truth of themselves, the gifts that God gave them, or Allah, or the great pom-pom in the sky. I don't want to start any wars. Gaia, the goddess mother, but there's a whole list, I'm sure. But what the gift you were born with, if you turn your back on that, then you're a zombie. You're the living dead. And,
yes.
and each of us on this panel, we were one of those ones that if we didn't do what was in us, we would die. And the death of that self, even if the body lives on, is something that none of us could have accepted. I would rather live in poverty and squalor my entire life than be untrue to the gifts that I've been given. And those gifts don't belong to me. Those gifts were put on me with a very big responsibility to polish them and shine them and train them and do that incredible, hard, backbreaking, staying up all night kind of work so that those gifts can be there for the world. They're not for me. No. I carry them. I'm the messenger. That's all. The pipe that the water comes through. They need the water. Anyway, that's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
The next question that I have here on my script is sort of related to that. It's after you've accepted that, after you've done the work, how do you develop a new song? And what helps you do that?
It's quite funny. It's not funny, actually. I don't know what it is, but look, I come from in my mind, I've got this thing. I always have this thinking when I'm sitting at my workstation. Is there something that I can do that is different from what I'm hearing from radio and TV and all that stuff? That's what I always ask myself, because it's sort of like it makes everything more complex and harder, so that I can be able to challenge myself to look more deeper. Because you turn on the radio on your way to work, on your way to see a girlfriend or whatever, going to town for shopping, and you listen to 3 songs consequently playing, and you're like, Ish, this is the same thing. It's actually the same thing. It's just twisted, slightly twisted there and there, but it's more or less the same thing. So mainly because in South Africa, we've been having this pandemic of, I would call it a pandemic, an artistic pandemic. It's a disease that is killing the art in the country, where when there's a sound that came up and everybody just flocks to that sound, because they want to get gigs and performances, and they want to be known quickly as possible, and the companies are pushing so that you can get gigs for the manager to chow the money and all the stuff, and the company can be bigger. You get what I'm saying? So it's a serious issue, because now that limits the amount of creativity and the diversity of the artistry in general, because now you are sort of like creating a small space to pass through for a predominantly large number of artists and people with an intellect that is so big in terms of the creative atmosphere. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So for me, creating a song, I look at all those things and I become honest to myself. When you get into music creation and song building, you start to have. I was very lucky. Like I said, I did about 3 years of my life productively at KCAP, where I studied more about script writing. Script writing is more or less the same as songwriting, because you've got to have a beginning. You firstly have got to have a theme. What is this? What is the theme of what are you talking about? What do you want to say? And then secondly, you got to say, where is this thing happening, or when is this thing is happening? And then you got to ask yourself, how are you going to tell it? Are you going to tell it as a third person? Are you going to be direct to yourself? Are you going to be talking to someone? So you have to be very critical so that you can have something special. So those things, those fundamentals and those basic knowledges about how to write a story form. I believe that a song is a story. It should take you from the beginning, and it should have a building up or a crashing point or a threshold, and then it should have a rising moment and a climax, and then you are done with your story. So I took that and I employed it within my music writing skills, and it flowed with myself, and it flowed with whatever that I was trying to do, and that's why I've been having songs that always talk about a certain kind of a scenario, because when you listen to radio, you hear someone talking about girls, and then in the next line is talking about money, and then in the third line is talking about crime and killing someone. So which one? What is this? What's going on? Like what is going on? See, you have to. I myself was like as a songwriter, so that's why I begin. You have to start by workshopping yourself and workshopping the kind of story that you're writing, and finding the perfect mood for you to express your feeling, and be honest to yourself. Sometimes there are some people, like in KZN, I would say in South Africa, that avoid saying a certain amount of words just because they are maybe provocative or unfriendly, or they are maybe they sound lame. You get what I'm saying? Like they don't sound nice. But every word has its own space and time. So you can use anything in this world to be able to convey a message. So nothing should be taken lightly when it comes to writing a song. So basically when I write a song, that's what I do. I start by trying to put some reason into what I'm going to do, and I try to create a story in my head, and a very concrete story, and then the words will come, because already I have a film that's playing on my brain, and as I do the beat, as I start writing the first chorus and a bridge, and then the first verse, and the pre-chorus, and then I do the improvisations. Everything flows, because this thing is playing here. I already have it. So it's a matter of finding the perfect word. Maybe I think a better word than any other words that I can be able to use. So basically, that's how I go about writing a song.
I have a question for you, and it's kind of leading on from what you've just been speaking about, your process of composing and writing. And the comment that comes to mind with that is that I like how you've mapped across the script writing. You mentioned the introducing it or contextualizing it at the beginning, and then building it up to something, and then resolving it perhaps. So, I mean, it's a tried and proven formula, but that's been around for tens of thousands of years. So
yes,
I can see how that's a wonderful approach. And thinking about lyrics, I have a big personal problem in some of the modern music that I hear with the, if you compare the way lyrics were written in the old times, or 30 years ago, or 50 years ago, and some of the lyrics that I'm hearing in some of the modern music at the moment, I understand each generation has its own idiom of speech and understanding, but I think there's a lack of narrative in some of the stuff, a lack of hitting home with people about reality of life, not just the fantasy of life. It's all very well to commemorate fantasy of life in art and music, but I think it's good to hear songs from time to time that celebrate and recognise the reality of life, harsh living, or struggling, or coming to terms with something. So, but here's my question. You have been singing, composing and performing on stage with several top artists, but only released your solo single, and forgive my pronunciation, Uma, or I think it's Uma Esamba.
Yes,
is that right?
Uma Esamba.
In 2017, so that's only 4 years ago. What led you to that direction? What was in your mind, and how did you feel it? So I think if I think about that question, it's you've been doing a lot of work in the art industry, and then it's 2017, 4 years ago, is this first solo single coming out, and obviously you're writing more at the moment. But talk about that song for us.
Okay. The reason why I dropped any kind of material in the public atmosphere in 2017 is because I wished for a time where I think I'm more prepared to face the industry, and for the industry to be able to understand who is Scelo Gowane. Because there's one problem that most of us artists that we do in South Africa, we tend to, especially with the young stars right now, because as a producer, I also do production for other artists and stuff. You find out that this guy has started maybe 3 months ago, and now he comes to you and he has the money to fund the production process, and you do the song for him, and then you can see in his eyes that he wants to be famous now. Yeah, but only to find that he's spiritually and psychologically not in the right space. So a lot of grooming has got to come. So I set myself some time so that I can be able to be ready for the industry as a singer, as a performer. I had to school myself in terms of production, because growing up in a poverty-stricken community, and having a background that is not that supporting in terms of at that time financially to be able to fund my work, I had to teach myself how to do predominantly a lot of important sectors of my creativity, so which was production. So I had to buy myself a computer, learn how to produce, and then record myself, learn how to mix. And I was so all that thing. It was a stage coming to that. Okay, now I'm ready. Now let us have the song. And then, fortunately enough, I got to work with one of the most brilliant companies in KwaZulu-Natal, Touch Africa by Mdungcobo, and he signed me for a contract of 3 years, and I did the song, and it worked. People loved it. We did the video. You just saw it. Yeah. So basically, that's what has been keeping me from not being too quick on releasing anything, other than to be ready, to be able to face the industry.
Mm, mm. Mr. Ladin, any comments before I ask my question quickly?
Well, you're talking about basically what I do. In 2018, it was my 50th year teaching classical ballet. In those 50 years, I had trained so many dancers. There were many who had gone on, had very wonderful careers, and been long retired by my 50th anniversary teaching. Of course, a dance career is shorter. But I see the same thing in these new ones coming up. They want to be famous now, and they think that famous is having lots of hits on their Instagram account.
Yes.
And that only means that a lot of different people took 1 nanosecond to put their finger on their phone. That's all it means. That is not fame. One of the things that I teach when I teach choreographers is, first of all, you have to have something to say. And it's so much work to take that idea of something to say to getting it out there into the world. It better be something worth people listening to, not just you have something to say. Everyone has an opinion. And so you have to really, I don't know what, not you, we have to, you as a producer, me as a director now internationally of the school, David with all of the different musicians he works with, I think in the arts, the only way to humble that new approach to self and fame and money and all that is to give them an experience of something that is such a profoundly impacting work of art that will humble them. That will make them think, wow, I don't think I could do that. And so when you're talking about that, I'm thinking of our collective responsibility with these young people, but we can't just tell them, no, you're not ready yet, because all that's going to do is make them want it more.
You can't do that.
You have to expose them to those things that happen that transform you because of interacting with the work of art, that they change your entire life, your entire perspective. Then you can say, remember how that felt. Now, sing this song, make me feel that by you singing this song. They have to know what it is they're aiming for. It can't just be old people saying, oh, no, it used to be much better. If they don't feel it, they can't know to seek to feel it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Talking about having something to say to the public, Mr. Gowane, while you are discussing this with Mr. Ladin, there is a track or a song that you really, let's talk about the song titled Ngingumuntu, which is translated, I'm a human too.
Yes.
We had a lot of comments from the public about this song. They said it's a very touching song, So please tell us, what's the story behind this title of the song, and maybe take us through the lyrics, because you're the writer here. You might explain it better than I can. But I know it's because I understand Zulu. It's a very touching song for me. It takes me to, I don't know, space or an unknown area. When that song plays and especially when you perform it live. Could you please take us through the lyrics and tell us what's the title behind that song?
All right. Ngingumuntu Nami is a song I did, I think I was in high school, 2005, 6, 2005 actually, 5, 4. I remember I was constantly writing songs, when I was at my high school levels, but I was shy. I couldn't perform, I couldn't do anything, but I was writing. So basically the song Ngingumuntu Nami, it's called like expressively, I'm human. Uh, it's all about the simplicity of life, because here it talks about me as a person in a relationship where sometimes things get rough, as they do all the time, and you have to show the person that you are in a relationship with all that she has to, all that she wants, all the desires that she has, you know for your relationship to look good, maybe towards her family or neighbors, whatever, and herself, for her to be happy. But sometimes it doesn't go that way. So basically the song is talking about this kind of attitude that we have as human beings, of not having enough patience to be able to hold on to something and hope for the better. A hobo living on the street didn't know that he was a hobo, that he was going to be a hobo in 15 years, but it happened. That's an individual. He's a person, he's a human being. It happened, it happened. So it's up to him to decide whether he sort himself out and get back on the horse. Uh, it's life. We go through stuff, and there is this tendency around relationships. I don't know if it's different from America, in America and Australia or England, wherever we may be situated as individuals, as people. But there is this tendency where people in a relationship, they have so much high expectations that they forget that at the end of the day, anything can happen. You can get hit by a car and get paralyzed, and you can't be able to walk again in tomorrow. And what's gonna happen? So we are all human. Anything is possible. Anything can happen, no matter how well planned everything is. But some things get crushed along the way. So love has to stand. So that song, Ngingumuntu Nami, it talks about that love has to stand, and we have to be patient amongst each other. We all make mistakes and we all fall down, but we get back up again. And we have to continue. So we are all human beings, and that's how life is all about. So there is no Cinderella with the silver what high heel here, no, with the chariots of silver and gold. Nah, doesn't work like that. And the prince, it's fantasy. That's fantasy. So the reality is that as people in this world, we all fall down, we all get back up, we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes when it comes to relationships. We all sometimes fail to meet some deadlines or some things that we had to do for our partner. But at the end of the day, love is to remain, because we are all human. That's what the song talks about, basically.
You also worked on a song with N. Dot that was titled Grind. you know.
Grind, yes, yeah.
And it's a song, you know, you encourage people to get up and hustle. And just what you're
Yes.
talking about right now, if you will, talk about a time in your life when you felt like everything was falling apart, when nothing was working. You know, people see you as this accomplished man, like your whole life was that. You didn't learn to talk about what you just said by always being on top. And when you were in that place, what did you do?
Okay. Grind is a song that talks about working stronger, working better, and work smarter, and never give up. You know, I don't want to say never give up, but don't give up, because sometimes there are things that you have to give up on. You can't. Yeah, I mean, there are some things that you just have to give. You have to give up smoking. I mean, come on. But yeah, yeah. But never, like, don't give up too easily. Push, keep pushing. And your next question was that when I started up, I had only my parents who were like, okay, we believe in you that you want to do this, and they were there, you know, emotionally and physically. Well, absolutely not financially, because they were not able to. However, I appreciate that. And when things started happening, a lot of friends came, and they came with a lot of good things, you know, that enticed my, that made me interested to get into. So basically, you know, you make mistake and you do some things that you are not supposed to do. You get involved into certain kinds of drugs, like alcohol, you name it. And then there's money. You are able to do anything that you like. But one thing that I realized at the end of the day is that once you reach that stage, that's where you realize that to us artists, there is a certain kind of a distortion that happens when you kind of make it to a certain kind of a level that allows money to flow in, and the fame and everything else. And that distortion, it causes a very critical and painful halt on your creativity, because you don't have time for studio, you don't have time for your family, you don't have time for yourself as a person. So it's a bit of a matter of knowing how to balance all these things when the fame comes, because you came from nowhere, and now people, just because now you're playing on radio and people want to be part of where you are and be part of what you do, and they are your friends, now suddenly you have got 1,000 friends. So I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm answering you correctly, but that's what happens. But you have to keep on the grind, because that's what got you in that place, you know, from the first place. So basically, the song "Grind", it talks about that. That I came from nothing, and now I'm doing interviews, you know, on a global scale. You know, I'm doing radio interviews. Metro FM played my song immediately after mixing. Just immediately, couple of minutes after mixing. You know, I never thought that would happen. The biggest radio station in South Africa and also globally, you know. So it has been a huge improvement, and I've learned so much from that. So it's all about the grind. It's all about working hard.
Mr. Pike, unfortunately, yeah, we are running out of time, so we're gonna try and push Mr. Pike. Please go for it, sir.
Alrighty. If you could collaborate with anyone, living or dead, who would that be, and what would the collaboration contain?
Okay. When I started working with okay, my battery is running low here, but I collaborated with Naima K. It signed from Touch Africa. I collaborated with Duncan. He one of the most famous hip hop artists in KZN and also South Africa. I've made a song for a number of artists, Naima K, Zandi Kumalo, Kelly Kumalo's sister. I've worked with one of the Idols winner. I think it was 2018 or something like that. His name is Garabo Mokhane. I have three. So I wrote 3 songs for him. I've worked with producers like the late Robbie Malinga. I've worked with I've worked with the list is endless. I've worked with some radio station DJs like Zokoloko from then Ikakas and then is now on to Cozy FM. On jingles and songs as well. I've wrote many songs with a lot of artists locally. I've worked with Dude, Street Chillers. I've worked with. I've actually shared a stage with about. What's this? Is Timela, the latest Timela. So yeah, it's I'm trying to cut as much as I can, but yeah, it's been a hell of a ride for me working with people. So yeah.
So there's no one that you wish to work with in the future, like
I'd
person
like to
like
work
me,
with.
you know.
Yeah, I'd like to work with you. I'd like to work with all these gentlemen that we are with right now, because I sense something may come up on a spiritual realm.
Wow.
Something might definitely come up, and I'd like to work with everyone, man. Everyone that likes my sound, everyone that thinks that we can be able to do good music, because you can't go around asking people to work with you and stuff. It has to be a mutual understanding. You have to talk to a person and be connected to them, and then you're going to do magic together. It's not really about setting up an appointment. I'd like to work with. Nah, I don't believe in that. I believe in this, that if we have to do something, we're gonna be gravitated towards each other in a certain kind of a way, and then we're gonna meet, and then we're gonna work.
Sounds good.
It has to be destiny.
Maybe let's play one of your music videos, and then we come back. You give people your contact details and where they can find your music, and then we just wrap up, because I know it's very late for you there in South Africa. So I'm gonna play a music video. I think it's called Ingoma Yetu. Could you please introduce that song, and then we come back and to wrap up.
Right now you're listening to Ingoma Yetu by Scelo Gowane myself. Enjoy the song. It's a beautiful song. Download the song on iTunes. Everywhere it's available.
Yes, welcome back. That was Scelo Gowane laphayana esinikeza ingoma ethi ingoma yethu. I think it means our song. Wow, that is lovely. That is beautiful. I would really, really love to hear him explaining more about the title behind this song, but unfortunately, we're out of time. It's very late in Durban, South Africa right now, and he's actually running out of power. I think we are going to. I'm going to ask everybody to say their last words. Any final words that you want to say? And I think for Mr. Gowane, when you say your last words, you can also give your contact details or your social media accounts to people and where they can find your music. But I'll start with Mr. Pike. Any last words, Mr. Pike, from this lovely conversation that we had with Mr. Gowane?
Yes, Mr. Gowane and panel. It was very refreshing to talk to you. I really resonate and like about you're looking always for something that's a little bit different than what you're hearing. So that means for me, you're really striving to create a genre of your own style. And I think that's marvelous. And not only are you doing that, but you're getting, by the sound of it, very, very good support from people. So it's a win-win. You're going to the cutting edge of style, of your own style, and people are resonating with it and supporting you. So well done. Keep going.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You said that in your work, you wanted to let the industry know who you were. I really, really hope that people out there heard that. There's so much pressure to brand, to market, to look like something that's already being recognized when that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be different. We're supposed to be unique. We need diversity in this world or we have nothing. And I think that sort of what you gave me, because of course, as a director, I talk to those people all the time. You gave me the idea that when you're thinking about branding, brand yourself and brand yourself as something that is constantly evolving. That's, if you fall in love with somebody, don't fall in love with what they wear, fall in love with that person, whatever they become, and so I just, you've completely revolutionized my thinking about these business things that they put on us. And now I have an answer for them. Yes, we're going to brand our education and it's going to be shaped by whoever we're educating. They are the people that say what it's going to be in the world, not us. So thank you so much. I totally enjoyed this. And I will be working on all of my moves for our new album coming out, all of us together, whatever you want to collaborate on.
Thank you very much, man. I was waiting for that. Now you see what I'm talking about. That you don't organize these things. They have to happen by themselves.
Yeah.
So any last words and where can people find your music?
If you want to like my page, you can go to Scelo Gowane on Facebook. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can just go to at Scelo Gowane. Leave some comments there. If you want to DM me, you can DM me. If you need some music, I'll be able to send you some links to where you can be able to find the music. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's at Scelo Gowane. And on TikTok, it's a Scelo Gowane. And yeah, if you want to watch my videos, you can go on this program and watch all my videos there. They have them on links. And you can also subscribe to my my YouTube page, Scelo Gowane. Yeah, so basically, and if you want to email me for any kind of booking, maybe studio booking or feature, any music feature, that you may think that I can be able to fit in based on the work that you heard, you can just email me to scelogowane@gmail.com, scelogowane@gmail.com.
Yes. That was Scelo Gowane. Thank you so much, Scelo Gowane. I would like to say thank you so much for making time to be part of the show. We had fun. I've learned a lot of things from you. I have been looking up to you from when I was very young. I remember you performed for a family back in the days, 2009, when we lost, our father back in South Africa. You performed there, and everybody was like crying when you performed that song, Ngingumuntu. Yeah, so thank you so much. You are part of the family now. Anytime, and when you have any new projects and you wanna, spread it out there, you let us know. We can tell your fans that you're busy with something.
Most
Even if you were just
Most
walking and you broke your toe and you want to tell the public that you broke your toe, you let us know that you broke your toe, and then we'll let your public know. Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to have another conversation with you so we can cover a few questions that we did not cover. I know people were so fascinated about the talk that we had. I mean, I had so much comments, this week when we were preparing for this show, and people were saying, you touching souls, they were saying a lot of things. So thank you so much. That was Scelo Gowane, everyone. This is the Global Sunday with Lungani. Thank you so much to Mr. Ken Laden. Thank you so much to David Pike. Shout out to people. Shout out to Miss Classic. She couldn't make it today. Shout out to Claire. Shout out to all of you who are watching right now. I'm just going to send quick shout out to people who are watching, who are with us, who has been communicating and commenting. Sorry, I couldn't read your comments, but Rediva the Queen, shout out to you. Shout out to Zulu Pavarotti. Shout out to Ngubeko Kwala, that's my brother right there. Shout out to Siyabonga Ndlovu. Shout out to Ntlantla Moletana. Shout out to Sbusiso Vivian. And shout out to all of you. This is the Global Sunday. And from me, I am saying bye-bye.